Are we ready? Are we good? Sorry, recording now?
Oh, yeah.
He missed the countdown clock.
Oh, sorry.
This is the Rubberboots Podcast, Season 8 of the podcast. Brought to you by BetSafe.net.
BetSafe.net.
Thank you for joining us. We'll sure you have no regret. Even we can't believe we're not canceled yet. We're gonna tell some stories. We're gonna have a good time. You know for sure. We're gonna have a laugh. This is the podcast. This is the podcast. 100% free.
100%. BetSafe.
This is the podcast. Love it. This is the podcast.
BetSafe.net.
This is the pod.
BetSafe.
This is the podcast. Love it. Love it. Love it. This is the pod. What you watching? This is the podcast. This is the pod.
BetSafe.net.
One of the most wonderful things about my relationship with Brooksy, my lovely wife, is that she humbles me on regular occurrences. So, you know, you have an event like the Masters, which is one of the events, my favorite events of the year, and we work very hard. The crew at TSN, Puffy, Bump, Bob Weeks, Graham Dillette, all the people behind the scenes, Lanny, our cameraman, Cobra, and Vardy Party.
Mark Ward, apparently.
Mark Ward, my friend.
Oh, yes. Mark
Well,
Ward.
we'll get into the Masters episode in just a second and get all our apologies out there. But so I get home and walk in yesterday. I'm sitting there and Brooksy says, "So what did you do? Did you just watch the golf? Walk around the course?" I said, "No, Brooksy, I did we did 5 hours of live coverage a day, like 5 hours, and then we do another hour show at night." She said, "I don't think you were on."
Wow.
I said, "Well, no, I was on 5 hours. It's 5 hours a day, Brooksy." And she says, "Well, the people I was talking to said they only saw you at the beginning for like 30 seconds and then you weren't on anymore."
Who's these people?
I said, "Well, Brooksy, I was on depending on what feed they were watching, that's possible. You know, if they decided to watch the feature groups feed, they may not have seen me. But, Brooksy, I was on, my voice you would hear every 10 minutes or 15 minutes going from hole to hole. And then we would come on and do panels, every half hour or an hour."
Yeah.
She goes, "Yeah, I don't think so."
Wow.
And then she had Jared on FaceTime. Jared's at Guelph, and she said, "Jared, did you see Dad at all on the Masters?" And he goes, "Yeah, no, I actually didn't."
Nice save, son.
And then I'm like, "Jared, did you watch?" He goes, "Yeah, I watched more golf than I ever did before, but I barely saw you." So she's like, "See, I don't think you were on. You should talk to your bosses because maybe something went wrong, but you weren't on."
Wow.
I said, "Okay, Brooksy, thanks a lot."
What
then
feeds
she
were they watching?
Then she followed up with, "So did Tiger win?"
Oh,
I
God.
was like, so I believe that maybe Jared was on the TSN 3 or the. You know what? Jared was on the streaming. The college kids, they don't have the televisions, and so if you're streaming, then you just get. I think you just get the feed. And if he wasn't watching TSN 4 feed, then he would have never seen me. So that's a legitimate
Does
beef.
Jared have cable at his house, or do they literally no one has cable and they just?
I don't think any of them. I don't think any kids that go to university have cable.
Wow.
I think they stream everything through their computers.
Now, Jimmy, you did just the early coverage, though, right? Do you think maybe it's because they watched the later tee-offs?
Yeah, I don't know if they were expecting to see me on there with Jim Nance in the booth.
I think that's what they were expecting.
Hello, friends. Jimmy back with Nick Faldo and his other Jimmy.
See, Brooksy probably saw him and went, "What an imposter! Where's my Jimmy?"
Yeah.
So we missed you guys. I thought you guys were coming down this year as we'd invited you down for the Rubber Boots Master Special, but once again you guys completely shunned us and didn't
Mark
bother
Ward
to
took our
make the trip.
spots. TSN employee.
I've asked several times for one of those.
Hey, you don't diss Mark Ward on this podcast.
Oh, I will. He has a diss coming. He dissed me in Leicester. Mark Ward's got a diss coming.
So,
That's true. That was a
Bumble
brilliant
boy better
song
be ready.
together.
Exactly.
Les, are you all right there, buddy? I'm sorry, we were breaking up on you.
No, I was just about to say I was happy to come down. My stipulation for coming down was to get one of those stealth drivers, and it never arrived, so I didn't come down. That's it.
Yeah, Mark Ward did. The funniest thing about that is Mark Ward and Puffy were like 7-year-olds. I think they spent the entire day writing that song, and they just were giggling the entire day as they came up with lyrics.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done, and the fact that they put in the time, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, at least you got mentioned, right? We didn't completely forget about you on the on the Masters pod. Mark Ward, I think, is Puffy's new best friend. I think that he would rather Mark Ward be at the Masters than Jimmy be at the Masters.
It was a tough day when he left.
Puffy woke up one morning and he was gone.
Well, we were expecting him. It was looking like he was going to stay for the rest of the week, and very exciting. And we were making big plans, and then all of a sudden, he couldn't make it happen, and it was just sadness. Sadness came over the house for a few hours.
Yeah, I think Mark Ward's. He's playing gigs now in Newfoundland. Did we talk about that on the pod? I have no idea, by the way.
Kind of mentioned it, but it was brief. Yeah, it was quick.
And I should say, by the way, I was not. I think it was clear. I was not
inebriated.
What's the word I'm looking for? Intoxicated.
Yes.
Inebriated, intoxicated, both things, same thing, right? Yeah. I was neither on the podcast. I was like,
but others were both, which made up for
I was 2 Mick Ultras in, but the rest of the house was a bit of a disaster, including, I believe, Graham Dillette when he returned back from his party. So I don't know that he actually recalls singing The Gambler on the podcast.
I don't recall him returning from the party.
Some of us will never forget.
He was on the podcast. I forgot.
All things considered, Puffy, and this is more of an interview because I haven't listened to the podcast. I don't really remember anything about it.
Bad idea.
So I'm asking. I thought Puffy, from my recollection, was better than the David Hearn year when the Queen. I thought he was better behaved. Is that fair? Or?
Yeah. To be fair, I'd say Bump shouldered some of the shenanigans this year.
He did last year.
Yeah.
So the bump
one bit. He had one bit.
Bump emotional bit, did that get overplayed at all?
See, for me, that's one thing that Bump did very well, because that's one of those things, if someone starts doing it by the 4th, 5th time, it's incredibly tiring, but I actually found Bump pretty funny every single time. So I didn't think he overdid it, but
Bump will be happy. And I felt like at the end, I told him I think that was his greatest podcast performance ever. And I think he was really excited about it. So it's good to hear that people feel the same. We usually leave our audience feedback to the end, but you had to put a couple of things on here, Stoff. I just wanted to hear some of the feedback from the podcast, which is listener mail.
Listener mail. Listener mail. Thank you for listening.
So we had Matt Hiller, who said, "I feel like I just listened to Fear and Loathing in Augusta, the podcast." So I think a pretty accurate description, so we retweeted.
Is that a compliment? To the podcast? I think so.
It just means we accomplished something. I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but we did it. Jeff Krause wrote in, recap of this week's pod, our boy Puff speaks, edit point.
Probably also fair.
There were a few. Someday we'll release, when we're free from the bounds of the Sports Network and Bell Enterprises, maybe we'll release all of the, we'll do a thing called Weimara Edit Point, the DVD.
Yeah.
And just
air all of Puffy's hypotheticals from this past week.
I can't remember. There was one thing I remember saying, and it was... It was offside.
You were offering a lot of money for some lewd acts.
Oh my god!
Sometimes I forget we're doing the TV podcast thing.
I have no recollection of that either.
I don't remember it either, but
okay. What else?
That can happen.
We have Caleb25 who wrote, "Looks like the Queen should be expecting an apology any time now." So,
I don't think you actually slandered the Queen in this episode, did we?
You didn't trust her at all. That's even worse.
Because we'd heard from her people last year.
I'm on a list.
Matthew writes in, Puffy drunk at the Masters, a tradition unlike any other. And
True.
Neil Corey rounds us out with Delilah.
Did we sing that again?
No.
I seriously don't know if I
No, I think people were hoping for an encore though.
Oh.
That was one of the early clips.
I think I owe apologies this year because I forgot who won the Gold Bar League last year, and I believe on the podcast I said it was Andrew Arsenault, which Puffy wholeheartedly agreed with me that it was Andrew
He's our
Arsenault.
go-to for anything.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Andrew did create the website, so if we want to rewrite
Right.
history as he's the greatest podcast listener ever, we can. However,
And it was, of course, Jeff Laughlin.
yes, Jeff
of course, who
Laughlin
yeah.
won. He beat Andrew Arsenault in the final with a score of 4-3, so it was very close.
Right.
Andrew did almost win.
Okay.
The other thing, Nathan Johnston's the one who won the prophylactic conference in the GBL last week, and it's snack bites beat, not snake bites beat.
Wow.
Were we calling him a snake?
Dude, what the
Oh, you absolutely. It was funny because you were shouting out all our listeners saying you're going to bring them to Augusta, and you didn't even get his name right.
But maybe I was confused because we have a cameraman named Cobra.
Yes.
And that made me think of a snake bite. I actually think if you are Pete, snake bites Pete sounds. Lester's got to get it. Snake bites Pete sounds. That sounds badass, right?
Yes, it does.
Like if you're gonna have a nickname, like Snack Bites Pete is like whatever. But Snake Bites Pete, that guy's in a motorcycle gang,
That's a tough guy.
right? Should we wait for Lester or for John without him here?
I don't know what happened.
All right. Well, we'll just continue on. Lester can join us whenever he can. I apologize to Snack Bites Pete, and to Jeff Laughlin. Is Jeff's wife Lori Laughlin out of minimum security prison
She's
yet?
out of prison. Yeah,
She's out of prison.
served her
Okay.
time.
Well, that's good. That's good for their entire family. Lester McLean has returned to the podcast. Poor Lester. He's having a day so far.
The thing just stopped. I don't know what happened.
See, like we don't even do the we're firing Lester bit anymore. It's just he does it himself technically. Masters Week, despite what Brooksy said, was a lot of work but a ton of fun, as it always is. Puffy worked his ass off down there. And by the way, the Tuesday night shenanigans. I think I say this every year. We're at the golf course at 7 a.m. every day and home at like 9 p.m. Thursday through Sunday for sure. The days aren't quite as long until then. So Tuesday night is kind of our one let it go night. So just didn't want to give if and Ken Volden or anyone's listening to the podcast didn't want just the one night. We promise you that.
The next day and doing dry rehearsals.
A lot of dry rehearsals.
What happened at the Masters this year? Let's see. What events happened?
Return of Tiger. Return of Tiger was the big one.
Return of Tiger was fantastic. We all got caught up in that. I cannot tell you how large. I guess it showed on television. They had those great drone shots for the first time this year. I cannot remember the galleries even during Tiger's heyday that big.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't remember. We never saw the shots that way. Puffy and I went down, I think on Friday afternoon. It's difficult to watch golf live if you're covering the Masters because we're on set for so many hours a day, and then you have to watch on television. But Puffy and I went out with Weeksy and Bump for maybe a couple hours.
A couple hours, I think. Yeah.
And Puffy and I went with Tiger. They went to follow Mac Hughes, I think, and it was just madness. We were down at Amen Corner, and basically the closest we could get, Puffy. We were watching him hit on 12. We were probably like halfway down 13,
Yeah, we were
trying to get a
500 yards away.
500 yards away. And as we said on the air, Scotty Scheffler, the eventual champion, the number one player in the world, was 2 groups behind, and there was basically nobody there. Maybe 50 people or something following Scotty Scheffler. So the power of Tiger is stronger than ever. And I think in some ways, this is what I thought would happen. It's remarkable what he did to make the cut. I think he put all his energy into those first 2 days, and once he got to Saturday, I don't think he had a lot left physically, and it was kind of predictable what was going to happen. But very cool experience to be there. Not the same as 2019, but I think the Thursday part of it, the energy on that golf course to see him back was a really cool experience. You'd agree, right, Puff?
For sure. And my favorite part was when you were giving other patrons the breakdown of what Tiger was doing on holes that you had no idea what he had done or seen. You were going based on sound. We were guessing. You were like, well, he birdied 10. We were like nowhere close.
Well, that's local knowledge. When you hear the roars,
and then you're like,
you hear the roars, you know where the roars come from.
And then you knew he didn't tee off first on a 12, so you figured out he bogeyed 11.
Yeah, I was helping out a lot of people there.
You actually were right on all your
well, here,
but
if you're
you had no idea either.
If you hear a roar, there's a certain Tiger roar that is true. Roar. So we were on 15, Puffy? We're on 15.
No, 13.
13. And we hear the roar, and I know it's coming in that direction, and it's only a Tiger roar. And we know that Tiger's on 10. Mm-hmm. So we know it's a Tiger roar, so I'm figuring he made birdie. But then about 4 minutes later, there's another Tiger roar, not quite as loud, and so then we figure out, okay, that must have been his approach shot. He hit tight. Yeah. That's the first roar. Second roar is the tap in, right?
Yes.
See? That's Augusta experience right there that teaches you that.
Now, are you able to, for example, hear Rory's roar?
No,
does that differentiate for you?
There used to be a Phil roar until he stopped playing.
On Sunday, there was a couple Rory roars from.
Yeah, Rory definitely had the roar, but there's Tiger's like another level.
It's pure volume, right? It's just pure number of people. Like Stuart Sink made a hole-in-one on 16, we heard as well. Yeah, and that's a distinctive roar, too, because you can tell where it's coming. And there are a lot of people that just park themselves on 16. It's not the Tiger gallery, but it's probably the second largest on the course. So you can tell a hole-in-one on 16 roar. Fair, Puffy?
Yeah, because it's the big roar, and then it's sort of like sustained, and then when he picks the ball out of the hole roar. So you can sort of feel that hole. That's when you know it's a hole-in-one.
Bottom line, if Puffy and I ever go blind,
we'll be able to go to the Masters and be fine.
So the reason we knew Tiger was on 10 was because we watched him putt on 9.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a massive gallery there. And Puffy and I were kind of standing close to where Tiger would walk from 9 to 10. And of course, for listeners of the podcast, everyone knows that in 2019, Puffy and I were there. Tiger made a clutch 2-putt, and as he walked by, Puffy yelled with his media pass on, "You got this, Tiger!" And so Puffy was standing next to me. Puffy was rehearsing possible lines he would say to Tiger. You know, Puffy's funny, so I don't think he was actually going to say them, but Puffy was like, okay, should I say, keep grinding, Tiger? Or should I go with, you got this, Tiger, again? Or, big cut, Tiger? Yeah, so he settled on keep grinding, Tiger. But you never actually got a chance to yell it, did you?
I know, because what happened is I was waiting to watch him putt, because the spot was open for me to get there, and then once he putted, I looked back, and it was packed up, so...
Right. He was disappointed by it. By the way, the number of people that are actually like that desperately want to hear themselves say something to these players is still one of the most amazing things about golf to me, is that 45-year-old men will just say something so stupid to somehow in their hearts they will get so excited that Tiger or Scotty Scheffler or whoever will have heard them that it somehow makes them a better man. And so this is why you consistently have 40-year-old men going to the gallery saying, "Great putt, Scotty!" Right? They're not really trying to encourage him. They're just trying to perhaps get an acknowledgement or a nod. And it's kind of one of the saddest things, I think, of the masculine gender.
Except when you're doing it to make your buddies laugh.
Well, that's different. But you don't hear women. Women, for the most part, like, women are so much more mature. They're not out there yelling at Tiger and Scotty or hook 'em horns or whatever when Jordan Spieth walks by. It's just it's ludicrous. We saw Tom Cochran out on the golf course. One of my favorite musicians. So Puffy was making fun of me, thinking that I was making more out of my friendship with Tom Cochran than Tom Cochran was making out of it.
That's true.
Because Tom had asked me to come to his house to have drinks that night, and Puffy didn't believe me, so he thought I had initiated the text conversation. Mm-hmm. And then were you there when I was talking to Tom on the course?
I was with
and
you.
Tom said, "So are you coming over for drinks tonight?" Did you actually hear that?
Yes, I did.
Right. So there you go.
But I was so tempted to ask him, did Jimmy text you first, or did you text him? Like, he definitely seemed like he likes you, so it's legitimate
thanks.
friendship. So I was wrong.
I'm excited. Tom Cochran's one of my favorite all-time artists, and I'm proud to call him not really a friend, but like I think he's a sympathy friend. So he'll see me and say like, "Hey, sympathy friend. You want to come over for drinks, Jimmy? I know it'll make your night."
Yeah, those are legitimate friends too.
Yeah. So anyway, Tommy Cochran's always out there. He loves golf, and he said we're going to play this summer. So this maybe will be the test of the friendship. Mm-hmm. Will Tommy and I actually play? Because I found out that Tommy is also I shouldn't say it because Tommy probably likes his privacy, but he plays at a club where I play at.
Okay.
And so
so I'll never run into him.
So that's
if there was only 3 of us, like if Lester was to die of his eye infection, then maybe we could play Stoff, me, and Puffy and Tom Cochran this summer instead.
So in order to golf with you, Lester has to tie?
Oh my god!
The fact that we're dissing Lester on a day when his feet is bad, so he has trouble responding properly. I mean, we can hear you, Lester, but like every little bit you go out, your video disappears once in a while. It's actually a great day to pick on Lester. Let's have a Lester roast because he can't fight back properly.
The Masters song wasn't enough?
the Masters.
Just one more time, because I like to give our listeners, behind the scenes. I am just amazed every year we go down there at what they run there at Augusta National. It is like somebody made the comparison to Disneyland, and I think that is apt. So, we're behind the scenes all the time, taking, carts all through the stuff you don't see outside the golf course where the patrons can't go. And it is as beautiful as it is on the golf course, right? They want everything in there to be perfect, even like I shouldn't say Disney World's not a good comparison because if you get away where people can't go in Disney World, it just looks like a normal, warehouse area. Whereas at Augusta National, everywhere you go is perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want all the players when they're riding around, to go to the driving range or whatever. It's perfect. For instance, there's a street called Washington Ave, which is like the main strip in Augusta that goes right next to the golf course. And it's kind of an ugly strip, frankly.
Yeah.
And they've bought up all the land around it. So 2 years ago, they built a tunnel underneath Washington Avenue and set up the media center on the other side of the road. And Puffy, am I fair in saying that if you didn't know a road was there, you would never know a road was there?
Yeah.
Right? They've built this tunnel and it's beautiful. It's all, connected brick and they've let all these vines and planted all these trees so you can't see there's a road.
Yeah.
So you're driving onto this road and you don't know it's a road. And there's landscapers there with little pieces of scissors cutting off every tiny little weed or leaf that's out of place. It's one of the most mind-boggling things I've seen in my life is the money they pour into this place because they make so much money to keep it absolutely immaculate. Is that fair, Puffy?
There's not a bad lie in the parking lot. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, every piece of grass is well maintained. The buildings that have been there for a year look like they've been there for 40 years.
Really?
Everything's like, they just do everything right there. It's pretty special.
Now, the one thing I did do, I don't get on the scales much. I don't really care. But I did jump on the scales when I came home last night, Puffy, and it was an all-time high for me.
All time? Like ever?
An all-time life high. I broke a number I've never broken before.
But you didn't break like a signature number.
Wow.
Like 200?
Yeah.
No. Like, you guys are bigger guys than me. Generally, I'm not saying you're.
Yo, we know what you're saying.
No, you're just bigger guys than me. So 180. I've never been over 180 in my life. Why are you laughing at me?
I was skin and bones in high school and I was $180.
I played football in high school at 155.
Oh my, you got it smoked.
And I still thought I was going to Clemson.
Well,
maybe for the soccer.
The other.
Oh, by the way, so we have these little cart drivers who are mostly students from local colleges and universities, some high school, who drive us around on these carts. And one kid wanted to talk football. I don't think you were on the cart with us that day. Weeksy was with me,
yeah.
Puffy. And he started talking about college football. He's like, "What's your team?" I'm like, "Clemson." He goes, "Oh, did you go there?"
Oh no!
I look at Weeksy and I'm like, yeah, I played soccer there. Oh yeah. And just for a second, I couldn't keep it up because I just started. Weeksy and I both started laughing too much. I said I didn't really play soccer there. I couldn't do it again,
That would
Puffy.
have been amazing. And he would have been like, my dad was on the soccer
He's the
team.
coach. He was the coach.
You're like, damn it.
But here's the problem with. First of all, you got a bunch of guys living in a house. Nicole, the fixer, was there as well. Thankfully, she prepared us a couple of nice meals. But beyond that, it's like pizza every night or burgers or whatever. Then at the golf course, Augusta's famous for these. You can buy egg salad sandwiches, pimento and cheese, chicken salad, whatever. In the media center, where we spend a lot of our time,
I'm gaining weight just listening.
you have an unlimited supply of these sandwiches.
Yeah.
And also these absolutely delicious cookies, chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal cookies, whatever. Hot dogs. What else is there, Puffy?
Peanuts, crackers,
Right.
chocolate bars,
Donuts.
Jesus, yeah.
donuts.
Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
No
No,
Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts. No Pop-Tarts. And then you can, some days we often didn't get to because we're on the air too long, but there's a sit-down place that a couple of days we got to, and it's like fried chicken and mac and cheese kind of stuff,
Oh,
right?
great food.
It's hardcore Southern indulgence.
How do you
the
guys have
entire week.
time for the golf with all this eating going on?
Well, it's just, me, for some reason, I am more hungry after, if I was to go on TV for 5 hours like there, I'm more hungry than if I ran like 15K or something like that. I'm starving. Mental fatigue makes me hungrier than physical fatigue.
Really?
And so when I get off the air, I eat like about 6 of those sandwiches, a couple of donuts, about 4 cookies. And then we just sit in there and watch golf sometimes adjacent to the place that you can get all the free stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was probably the most horrendous week of eating of my entire life, I would say. Close to it. Puffy,
Yeah.
you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I had to slow down as the week went on because I developed a bit of a stomach bug. Which,
Yes.
which,
Puffy had some issues.
internal plumbing issues. And so I wasn't eating too much at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think I put on 8 though. I think I was riding like 172 when I left for Augusta and came home at 181. So
Did Brooksy know?
That's the thing. Like, she didn't see you on TV. She just thinks you went to a buffet for a week.
that's right. Just came home.
Welcome
go to
home,
Turks
Tubba.
Hello, Brooksy.
Sure.
She thinks the whole thing's a lie. Anyway, so Jimmy's got to get in shape now. Puffy, I think we all got to crack down now.
I'm in. We got to do something.
I know
You-
Bum's saying he
gotta
wants to
fast
get in
and
shape.
chocolate.
We're all gonna crack
New
down.
Jack July.
New Jack
Let's get
Juniors.
jacked.
Weeksy too. Weeksy never gains weight. He just looks
it's
like a
the
marathon
glutes.
runner every single time,
got
and
the
he's in there
stretches.
eating
It's the
he's
glutes.
eating the same damn cookies and the same sandwiches, and he looks like
that's the
mint
ticket.
every time you see him.
Yeah,
Pisses
well,
me
he
off,
runs.
that guy. No, he's just in shape. He's a disciplined. He's a marathon runner. He
New
looks
Jack
like
Juniors.
He's an athletic machine. New Jack Junior. New Jack Summer Juniors.
That's
Summer
it.
Juniors.
Ooh, that's a good one. We got a couple of months for that, Puffy. I was going to do an A-hole or A-OK on a chatty guy.
Oh.
The chatty guy in the thing. But I think it's A-hole, isn't it, Puff? Is it even worthy of an A-hole or A-OK?
Well, you could. I mean,
So-
you could tell us and ask us.
Yeah, in the room that we were in, adjacent to all that available food that we talked about, it's a room with maybe 8 tables of 4.
Yeah.
So not a huge room, but a decent sized room, and they have 2 big screens up to watch the Masters. And every day we would go in there at least to have lunch before we went on the course. If not, sometimes we'd stay. Sunday we stayed most of the afternoon because it's we need to do an hour post show after, so we need to watch and what. So there's this one guy. I don't know who he was.
No idea.
Puffy was he? He didn't see. He must have had some connection. He didn't look like he was in the media,
Jeez.
but somebody had let him in there.
Yeah.
And he was probably
Probably a local
probably my age, right, Pop?
Yeah,
like probably
right.
like 50ish. And he was the chatty guy. He's the guy that wanted to talk to you every day, even if you didn't want to talk to him. And the key was to not give him an in.
Yeah.
If you gave him an in, I realized on day one was just an acknowledgement. It was just a turn and a smile because at first he would talk to himself.
Yeah.
And he had the southern accent. He would say something like, JT got to get that putting going. He going to go nowhere. JT got to get that putting going. right? And then if I the first day I was like, yeah.
Right.
Every 30 seconds, and we're at a table like having our own conversations. And he's like, we call Augusta. We call Augusta Macon with a golf course. That's what it is. It's just Macon, Georgia, with a golf course. And that quips like that came every minute for the entire day.
Yeah.
And so I think Sunday, the last day, here he comes in again, and he makes his first comment. Of the day. Cam got to go 3 under on the front. Cam got to go 3 under the front, no doubt. I mean, if Scotty's even wanted, he's got no chance. And he's looking over, and I'm like, no, I'm not even giving you the luck. I'm not opening this thing up to a conversation. And so I didn't even turn to him. In fact, I turned the other way. So am I an a-hole, or I think that's pure okay, right? Like, come on.
He needs to shut the up. Excuse my language.
Esther just came out flying. Wow.
Pulling no punches today.
Did you hear that one?
You heard that one?
Segment we haven't done in a while that Puffy and I came up with live yesterday. I've forgotten, like, Puffy really is good at the hypotheticals when you're alone with him for a week. They start flying out at all times. And so Puffy and I sat together on the plane, both on the way down and the way back.
Lucky us.
And as we were landing yesterday, Puffy had a new hypothetical. So let's play the theme.
Yo, 1, 2. These hypotheticals are messing with my mind. These hypotheticals, what's gonna be this time? These hypotheticals are blowing my mind again. These hypotheticals.
So Puffy and I we're coming in to land at Pearson International Airport, and Puffy, you present the hypothetical that you presented to me.
So we're probably, 40 seconds from landing on the runway. And I said to Jimmy, for $500 million, would you be willing to land this plane? But you also have to have 50 people in the plane who will each get $5 million.
If we live.
If you live.
Right.
Do you think
Now,
you could land the plane?
Well, and then we said I would get 1 day of training from the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 day of training.
And the situation would be, Stoff, that the pilot would just hand me the wheel. And I think by the end we said 15 seconds
called
before
the wheel?
touchdown, right?
That we've
I
already
don't
died.
know. We don't know yet. It's already over.
We just crashed into the 401.
The steering mechanism of the airplane. So that the pilot hands it to me 15 seconds before landing. We also don't know if there's an automatic pilot on landing. We don't figure there is. We figure the pilot lands.
You have to land it manually, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you got to guide it.
Yeah, you have to land the plane manually.
Okay.
You have 1 day of training. Did we say a simulator? Could we use a simulator in the training?
One attempt on the simulator.
Besides that, I'm just using the manual and verbal commands to learn the. And then we were walking out of the plane, and I had to look at the cockpit, and I was like, "Oh, geez, there's a lot of stuff
There's
on
a lot
there,
of buttons.
Puffy." But I was figuring if all the buttons are there and he's already set up for the landing, and all I have to do is ease the steering mechanism back, that I think I could pull it off. I think I would go into a full spin
And roll.
and probably a roll. But I think if we had good seatbelts on and you did that I think we could live. I mean, a few might die.
Yeah, but then that's a couple $5 million that's just dispersed amongst everybody else.
That's true. Everyone gets to share that money who lives.
So I guess
You're gonna have people killing each other before the landing.
Some guy stabbing them with pieces of the plane. It just turns into Lord of the Flies on the runway.
On the Pearson tarmac.
I just got a text from Lester that his phone overheated, probably because he's too damn sexy looking
What it
today.
is. It's the sunglasses.
I know.
Okay.
My phone's overheating just watching him on there. He looks so good.
Mine's cooled down
So-
when he left.
So, Stoff, the question is not. So now you have to make a decision. There's so many scenarios here. Would you go on the plane if Jimmy had to land the plane for the last?
God,
15
no,
seconds
absolutely not. I'd rather rob a bank for $5 million.
Okay, so that's disappointing because there's not a lot of belief in me. What about if Puffy was landing the plane?
Oh, man.
Who would you be more prone to go with? Because we actually said yesterday, Puffy and I think we said that I think I'd be more... No, we were talking about our crew, and there's a guy named Lanny who knows everything. And we said if Lanny was landing the plane, that I would risk it and do the $5
I will
million.
also go with Lanny over you two.
Stoff, I think, of the four guys on the pod,
I would go
you take
Stoff.
the Stoff or the steady hands of a musician. But then again, he's losing his eyes, so he can't even see the runway anymore.
That's true. He'll think you landed before you actually hit the ground.
He's like, we're safe. We're still didn't feel anything.
It would be a beautiful death, though, if Lester was singing on the way. On the way,
Just over the intercom.
goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Maybe you'd be Foo Fighters learning how to fly.
Maybe, perhaps.
Cover. By the way, the steering wheel on a plane is called a yoke. Y-O-K-E.
Oh, really?
Yoke.
Well, that's what I would learn in my first 2 minutes of my 24 hours of... I don't know. I think you're underestimating me. I think with 24 hours in one simulation
Hold
attempt...
on a
that
second.
My
could
thing
pull
with
it
the
off.
simulation-
I do not want you staying up all night for 24 hours.
That's one of them.
and cramming.
I got a good night's
That's
sleep.
one
Okay, I'll do
concern.
16 hours and then a good night's
But
sleep.
don't you
before the
think if
landing.
you only get one flight in a simulator, you're pretty certainly going to crash that one, and that might not be the best confidence builder heading into this whole thing.
Okay, so let's say I go down a little hard and the nose comes down, right? Then I figure, it'll be one of those landings where you lose the landing gear and you kind of slide across the runway with no landing gear and into a field, and then there's a little fire and Puffy runs out of the plane on fire.
Hopefully it's
But
a
most people escape.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
Stop, drop, and roll. I think I could do it, but whatever. If you guys don't believe,
I
in me,
believe in
then
you. I
don't
would
believe
get in
in
your
me.
plane, Jimmy. I would go in there.
Oh, that means a lot to me, buddy. Tom Cochran, I bet he'd get in my plane.
About 3 minutes before the landing, Puffy would pop up in the cockpit saying, "All right, Jimmy, everyone else is dead."
That would be a lot of pressure.
I'm going to be like, you got to crash this thing. It's the only way we can cover up the evidence.
Never mind, that's $750 million between the two of you.
It's like those
Not a bad haul.
It's like those Dateline shows when the husband murders everybody and he has like 4 little cuts and somehow everybody else is completely butchered and he's like, oh, they got me too because he did it to himself. That'd be Puffy. Comes out of the plane. Oh my God, everybody's dead, but I'm a little beat up too.
Look at my
I got a bruise on my sternum.
I'm walking with a limp, damn it.
Anyway, thank you for indulging. That was Puffy's Hypotheticals. I think we decided nobody wants to go on the plane with any of us.
Well, Lester went on the plane, and unfortunately, it's no longer with us.
Puffy, would you actually go on the plane if Stoff was driving the plane?
I would.
You take the $5 million?
Yeah.
Me at the yoke?
He's only got to do 15 seconds. Just guide it down. We ride it out.
Smooth little. You pull the yoke back slightly.
Like how it's, how like sometimes when you're just on a regular plane and it lands, everyone claps. We'd be going. Stop!
I would want the clapping to start on our descent, though, just to hype me up.
It would.
Like that Viking clap, where everyone just starts clapping faster and faster.
You know what happened if Puffy landed the plane? He would get so hyped after the landing, like he would get up to high five everybody. The plane would fly into the terminal and it would explode in a fireball. Oh damn it!
But technically, for those couple seconds, he did have $500 million.
He did right.
Oh,
So maybe Tanya would have a case for it to be passed on to her. Okay, let's get to things that I saw on the Twitter.
Freaky pigs, strange chicks, world affairs, polar bears, fake news, nice shoes, big boobs, jack dudes. All of these things and more as I sat on the shitter. Things that I saw on Twitter.
This week we're doing things we saw on the titter, as Elon Musk, one of Twitter's biggest shareholders and also one of the biggest trolls on the planet, was set to join Twitter's board of directors this week. However, as the news broke that he was going to join the board, he basically began trolling the social media platform with demanding an edit button, putting up different tweets on how to improve it, putting up different polls, including a poll that asked if we should remove the W from Twitter. So basically to make it titter. which there was no explanation for it ever. It was just, I guess, a bunch of stupidity. So now, Rubber Boots reacts.
Oh, reacts.
Reacts. So a little late on that one today.
That's unfortunate. Elon, in the end, withdrew himself from joining the board altogether. So basically, he did this for a week and then nothing.
So was this just a big joke for him, or did he actually want the stock? Because I read some Twitter feed the other day, and it was a letter, an internal letter from the other board members, and it that they said we decided in the end it was best not to have Elon on board.
Well, no, so
like
that they wrote that when Elon said he's no longer joining them. One of the replies was, "That's probably from the best." So like I don't.
This guy, I don't know. I have no time.
He's a big shareholder, so I think people bought into the fact that he did want the company to be better, and initially that he could, with his leadership, he is a smart man. However, some people can be geniuses in one area. It doesn't mean it's going to apply everywhere. Their inflated sense of genius might actually cause them to be more harmful in that other area. And I would say, as far as Elon Musk goes,
speaking of the choir here,
when it comes to social media, like a guy like Elon Musk, he's not someone that's most, I don't know, like he's a bit socially awkward, if anything. Like he had that SNL appearance, he looked like a cardboard box. Like I don't, not everything's going to be in his wheelhouse. So it probably was for the best. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. Why would you just troll them for days if you have such a high stake in the company?
Yeah, that's the weird part.
I mean, Titter makes absolutely no sense. One thing people have been demanding from Twitter, and he jumped on, was the edit button, the ability to edit your tweets. However, for me, I've always had an issue with that, because let's say you put a tweet out there, bunch of people start replying to it because, you said one thing, and then you could just go in and switch what you said.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I wish they could do it for, maybe there could be like in the first minute you tweet it, just because I am one who makes a lot of grammatical errors, or just, on autocorrect, and then I look
tag
at it.
the wrong person, stuff like that can happen.
Yeah, I look at it half an hour later, I go, oh, that's stupid, but I can't remove it now because people have seen it. And I did one of those at the Masters, and I was doing a thread on Mike Weir had a caddy caddying for him at the Masters, who was the son of a friend of Weirsy who had passed away. So it was a serious thread, and I just made a couple of typos which I was kind of banging my head over, but by that point it was already out there, so you just let it go. And I wish that maybe if you in the first 5 minutes of the tweet or something, so if you read it over and you made a stupid mistake, right? But I guess you could delete the tweet then too if you.
It would have never happened on Titter.
And I'm with you on Musk. Brilliant man, obviously, but I'm just kind of tired of his act on social media. So, all right, what else you got, buddy?
Well, here I sent you guys a duet of a dog and a guy playing, I think, a big flute here.
Right.
Basically, we'll tweet this out and play it here, but it is a gentleman, a street performer, performing on his instrument, and a dog comes by and joins him and just starts howling along. So my question was, can Lester borrow Hugo from James to duplicate the act? However, Lester's not here, so
I think, like in the early seasons of the pod, we played my now deceased dog Buddha,
yes.
Yelling at the Ricola commercial,
yes.
Right? We did. Then Ricola ended up sending me a whole bunch of swag.
Yes,
because of
doesn't Hugo bark?
So you have like Ricola shirts and stuff.
No, just Ricola cough drops. Basically, I think they just sent me. Oh, look, everybody! It's Lester's. Lester's return.
I'm so sorry
to the podcast.
I don't even know what to tell you.
No problem.
I don't know what's going on.
No, buddy. Again, you look so good today that none of your content matters.
Oh my god!
The phone overheated for obvious reasons.
Yeah. You actually sound good now. Don't worry. You just missed it. We were talking about Elon Musk for a while on Twitter.
I was there.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
You guys say he's a weird guy and the whole bit. I got all of that. But I actually said, "Can you guys hear me?" But no, you couldn't. So,
no. Actually, we could.
It's just like the first 7 seasons of the pod.
The first 7.
Jimmy hears everything.
So here's the one thing that I'm concerned with, and I'm not sure. And maybe a canine expert. We have so many smart people that listen to the podcast could help me. I always didn't want to do the Ricola thing too much with Buddha, because somebody told me that maybe their dog's ears hurt and that's why they're howling a little bit. And so maybe in this case of this dog, like certain sounds the dogs don't like, and so when they're like, Buddha never seemed like he was in pain, but how am I supposed to know when a dog is in pain or not? So I would only do the Ricola thing once in a while to entertain people. I always only felt it was okay to put him in pain once in a while. Horrible person. No, but you know what I mean? I don't think it was awful. He never looked like he was in pain. But so maybe somebody could tell me, why do dogs howl when they hear certain sounds?
Yeah, I just got a reaction out of him, I think.
I suppose we could just search that, right?
It really sounded like he was trying to sing, though, which is amazing.
Yeah. He was almost in tune with the playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Exactly.
Why do dogs howl? Keep going, Stoff. What's the next segment?
The next segment is Listener Mail.
Listener mail. Listener mail. Thank you for listening.
Nice.
All right, so we did our Masters feedback, so just a couple other things from the past 2 weeks. We had our toilet talk. What's the worst place if you have to take a poop? I think in the end we kind of agreed significant other's house, especially if it's the first time meeting.
They heard everything.
They heard everything. Jeff Laughlin writes in, I think in the middle of a long dental procedure would be a bad place to have some unwanted stomach rumbles start up. To which I replied, that's more of the dentist's problem.
Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
Regarding our bird talk, regarding birds aren't real, Jake Bowen sent in a tweet from Brock Wilbur, and this was from North Carolina, when North Carolina was about to face off with Kansas for the national title.
Yeah.
And one of the North Carolina fans is holding up a "birds aren't real" sign at the Jayhawks game, which was obviously
I saw
pretty
that
funny.
live when we were watching.
Yeah, we were watching the game at our house on the Monday night, and we noticed the birds aren't real thing, which actually was a pretty good way to diss the Jayhawks, right?
Unfortunately, they turned out that the Tar Heels weren't real in the second half.
No kidding.
And some of us should have cashed out our bets at halftime. Not good.
So here's I was searching. I was doing some research while Stoff was doing this segment. They're talking about more like sirens here with dogs. So we expect wolves to howl. We know but you're shocked the first time you hear your dog howl. There are many reasons why dogs howl, but when it comes to howling at particular noises, likely two main reasons: bringing the noise to your attention and verbally scaring the noise away.
So
if your dog howls at a loud sound, it might be to get your attention. I don't think so in the case of the singing, because if you're making the sound, that doesn't make sense.
Well, maybe he wanted some Ricola.
If they howl at the siren, it's to verbally chase it away. Mm-hmm. Your dog will feel like they're howling, help to discourage the siren. Do sirens hurt dogs' ears? A brief exposure to sirens and similar sounds will not damage their ears. Okay. But consistent long-term noise pollution would.
Well, they have more sensitive hearing, too, so I imagine even if it doesn't damage, a certain high-pitched sound might bother them a lot more.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just about sirens, but it's probably somewhere along the same thing. They probably want it to disappear, right? They probably want the sound to end, which is why they're howling.
Yeah, I mean, usually I think when dogs bark, they are trying to, I guess, chase something away. Like, my dog doesn't have anything with sounds, but if we have a usual paths that we walk around the neighborhood, and I guess he remembers them, because if there's ever a car that's parked a bit over the sidewalk, that's not usually there, or someone puts their garbage can there or whatnot, something's blocking it, that's when you start growling and barking. They get that out of my way.
Well, he doesn't like inconsiderate parkers either. Like, park straight. You know what I mean?
And then we both urinate on the tires. I'll show them.
We're a little weird up in Bradford, eh?
Yeah.
Is that it for today? Should we get to the Gold Bar League for the listeners that are part of the Gold Bar League?
Also, just to put a bow on listener mail, a couple of our listeners wanted Lester to pick up the guitars behind them and play during the podcast. Now, this is something Lester did do in season 1, and Jimmy told him to cut it out, but mind you...
No, I think what happened in season 1 was he just kept playing the entire show.
There was also, we're just coming off an episode where there was non-stop guitar playing by people who can't play as good as Lester, so...
That's a good point. That will offend Mark Ward. He believes he's quite the aficionado now.
He has real gigs in Newfoundland.
That's right. Lester, maybe you could play the some version of the Gold Bar League theme as we get into that.
I love golf, and so do you. Do-do-do-do. Join the Gold Bar League, and you can have gold too. It's the Gold Bar League. Come on and join the Gold Bar League.
That's beautiful. Look at that. Right off the cuff. See, even though you were barely around for most of this podcast, and that we can't see anything above your nose right now,
You can't see anything above my nose?
That's
Really?
well, if you lean down, you can, but it's all good. That was beautiful. I refrained from singing there because I think we all heard too much of my singing probably on the last podcast. So
Beautiful.
I love gold, and so do you. Do 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 do, do do do. Join the Gold Bar League, and you can have some too. Do 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 do, do 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 do. It's the Gold Bar League. Come on and join the Gold Bar League.
Gold Bar League.
what happened?
We're going to
Yeah.
start off with a reminder. Please use the same nickname and email every time. I've been kind to some people, but if I can't tell that they're the same ones,
Right.
you're probably not getting the points, and we won't be rectifying that later. Chaos Giraffe and Big Schlong Sean, they've used multiple emails that are completely different. So if you want your points added up, DM me at some point. We'll make it happen.
Big Schlong Sean.
Yeah, and Chaos Giraffe. Not playing by
is
the
not
rules, but we'll...
Also should say it because I think I've been, we were talking so much about the Masters. I neglected to give love to our sponsors, betsafe.net, multiple times.
betsafe.net.
And also the co-sponsor of the Gold Bar League, our friends at TaylorMade, Nick and Company, who have provided a stealth driver as one of the prizes for the winner of the Gold Bar League, and a dozen golf balls for some of the secondary
That looks
prizes
sweet. That
of the
looks
Gold
sweet.
Bar League. Look at you. Where did you get that from?
It's my golf club where I get it from. It's behind
Oh,
me here.
I thought maybe Nick sent you one. I got all excited, and then he said,
Broke into Nick's house and took it.
Nick is one of the nicest men I've
Nicest
ever
guy.
met.
Nicest.
And he is he's here for, of course, me and Puffy have gotten more clubs.
I'm
and less
sure
than
he's
Stoff,
very
but
nice.
Congratulations.
I think Nick has mentioned to me in the past. He said, "Hey, we should hook up Lester and Stoff at some
And you
point."
said no.
You
And
said they don't play.
I said that's just stupid. They don't play enough.
You know what, Stoff?
Don't be dumb,
You know what,
Nick.
Stoff? These guys haven't even offered us their old clubs. That's how bad it is.
That's
You know what I
a
mean?
very
You
good
don't want
point.
my old clubs.
Why can't I have your old
I
clubs?
thought I'm left-handed.
It's always an excuse. Jimmy will play it with the wrong hand to avoid us too.
The whole round you guys played.
Oh, hold on. I have
the
a-
wrong way.
I have a question. There's a Dustin Johnson commercial. I believe it's for a financial institution, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, where he hits the ball and then it lands on the edge of like a cliff.
Yeah.
And at first he lines up and looks like he's going to fall off the cliff, and then he has this smirk and he lines up the other way and flips the club. And then
Is it the one where the ball goes in the hole? It's kind of animated.
No,
Dustin
this
Jo-
one doesn't go on the hole, but it gets on the green perfectly, and the green's not that close. I'm just wondering, is that shot actually possible? He's facing the wrong way, and the club head is flipped. Now I
haven't
know
seen
people,
that one.
I know people can like poke it out like that and that type of thing,
Yeah.
but in terms of like he hits it. So it's just
Oh,
wondering.
my keep talking about the Gold Bar League. My computer says it's going to die, so I got to get my charger.
Okay.
I don't want to go full Lester here on you.
Getting
So go ahead.
overheated.
This is
Now I'm
just-
frozen. I think I'm frozen. I'm frozen.
You are. However,
I look
it will record your video, so on the pod you won't be. But yeah, that is a.
Look at that.
I don't know what's going on
Been a
today, guys. I'm so
disaster.
sorry.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, I'm sure we'll figure it out by the end of the season.
Well, this is the last time I use my
often
phone.
do.
Right by the
Jimmy
guy.
had a good run, but now he's eliminated and stripped of his bars.
What?
Oh, he should have.
Just went to get my power.
Why your voice?
All right. All right, by the numbers, Gold Bar League.
Yes.
There was 0 perfect sixes this week.
Wow,
Much like
tough
in week
week.
1, tough week, but I'll tell you why there was 0 and we should have expected 0. As less than 1%, in actuality, only one person chose the Texas Rangers over the Toronto Blue Jays on Sunday. Hence, unless that person had all of theirs right, there was not going to be a perfect one. There was 3 instances of people getting 5 gold bars, so overall a tough week, average of 3.07. So this takes us now to our April race standings, where Chewy Louie leads the way with 10 gold bars in April. Max Scarafoni, 9 gold bars. Sam, 9 gold bars. And then there's 12 people tied with 8. So if you win...
Could refresh my memory. So what are we doing? Are we doing monthly races too?
Yes, so last month, as you announced last week, I'm sure you remember.
I love that. Refresh my memory. We're doing monthly competitions.
Do you remember when you read out that Pharmamag was the winner of the March Platinum Playoff? At the end of March, we had 2 people tied, hence there was a playoff to see who would win the month. The winner of March and the winner of April go into the Platinum League automatically. Outside of that, the overall standings will also matter.
You're just learning this for the first time.
So
I was just worried I was going to have to come up with more prizes. I was getting concerned that there was monthly prizes I was going to have to come up with.
that too.
All right.
Chewy Louie looking good there. He's also looking good in the prophylactic overall standings. That Matt Gadafoni leads the way with 26. Pharmamag 24, but he's already in the Platinum League. Chewy Louie 23. Sam 23. Your guy Ho 23, Hans Solo 23, Gwillimburies 23, and Ho, I believe, finished second in the GBL last year in the regular season, so he's right up there again.
Ho's been clutch.
Yeah, there's a couple guys, Chewy Louie as well, that are year in, year out. They're competing for this thing, so love seeing that. Gwillimburies 23, 6 tied at 22 bars, including Trojan Baz, Cody Holstein, and our guy Andrew Arsenault. Moving on to the talent division, where Aaron Korolnik leads with 23. Me and Duthie are tied for second with 21 bars.
Played my way back into this, baby.
Lester is in the relegation zone with 15, so gonna have to step it up here.
I missed the week.
April.
I missed the week. What did I did not do well.
You missed 2 weeks now. You've missed 2 weeks, so it's
on the road, man.
You gotta basically ensure Jimmy starts missing some weeks.
Buffy, I'm ahead of you now, loser.
Well, we're all ahead of him because he's in the first up division. Puffy leads the first up edition division with 20 gold bars. Now here's the power move of the week. Bob Weeks has moved ahead of Carlo Koliakovo with 15 gold bars to Carlos 14. He sits in third. Matthew Cause, who you called out last week that he has his own gambling show, he's got to do better. He's at 11 gold bars now because he is one of the 3 people that went 5 for 6 last week. So he did step it up in a tough week.
Okay.
And joining the first up division is Bump with 4 gold bars. Bump did play this week.
Oh, good for Bump. Good to see him back in the game. Maybe we should have like a second prize for, like a small tiny prize, like maybe 1 golf ball. for like if Andrew Arsenault could expand and have all the have an average, like the winner for the average per week. So if like Lester missed 2 weeks but his average score per week was like 4.9, he would win like a sleeve of golf balls. If a guy or Bump would have a chance to win with an average.
So hold on, you would average 1 week. So Bump's
no, you have to have you have to have like a minimum. Let's say, how long is the Gold Bar League going to be total? Like 10 weeks, 15 weeks? So you'd have to have like 9 weeks. So you'd have a minimum 5 weeks. You have to be in for a minimum 5 weeks.
You want to reward people that are in.
Yeah, exactly. You want to reward people because then someone hits 5 weeks, they got a decent average, and figure I'm going to sit back.
Just trying to take that. Just trying to be.
That is also not a legitimate path into the Platinum League.
There's no.
If I could change my team name, I'd call it Lester's Chin.
I think you'd win.
Oh, somebody's alarm's going there.
Nice.
Things are happening.
Okay, so that's it. Glad to have you back. We missed you guys last week on the Rubber Boots podcast. Like, we talked about it a lot. Yeah. Did we talk about it a lot?
A lot.
We didn't really talk about it.
You didn't talk about much a lot.
We got the new microphone here. I think it might have been a little distorted last week, but we figured that out, we think. And we're going to get Puffy one next week, and maybe we'll see Lester's eyes again next week.
Send me one too, Jimmy. If you can get me one, send me one because I like I said, I'm gonna have to use my laptop and the microphone I have connected to my desktop.
I think the budget's just about up.
Oh,
Puffy one.
okay. What, you spend it on my golf clubs? Is that the deal?
Of course, I'll get you one, buddy. All right, we'll see you next week on the Rubber Boots Podcast, brought to you by BetSafe.net and our friends at TaylorMade.
How are ya? I got a question that I really wanna ask ya. Wait, don't hang up. I need to know, so I'm gonna try and push my luck. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, or black or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Do you like the dunk tank at the fair? Oh, I know it's a little strange, but my obsession with your choice of footwear in the rain. And I know that you're on TV, but I need you to put your boots up on the desk for me. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, or black or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Do you like the dunk tank or the fair? This is the part they call the bridge. A bridge has water under it. With the rubber boots you can wade in the water. Just don't fall in. Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? Are they purple, yellow, green, or black or white? Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight? And do you like the dunk tank at the fair? Do you really like the dunk tank at the fair? Dunk tank.
Are you wearing your rubber boots tonight?